I'm Judy Zelina. Welcome to the Millcreek Government Channel. Millcreek Township is very proud of our Millfair Compost and Recycling Center. So today on our program, we have Corey Walters. He's joining us. Corey is the supervisor of the Millfair Compost Center. And today what we'd like to do is we would like to talk to you about the entire Millfair composting process, from raking up those leaves and twigs and turning them into a wonderful mulch that you actually bring right back to your yard. But Corey and I first would like to give you a little bit of history about the Millfair Compost Center. So first off though, welcome to the program, Corey. We have a lot to talk about, and you know, a lot of pats on everybody's back that works out there. You guys do a great job. So first off though, let's talk about some of the history. In 2004, Charlotte Bartlett, who was the recycling coordinator at that time, and Joe Chiava, Millcreek Township supervisor, took a look at a site that Millcreek owned on Millfair Road that the streets department was using as a dump site. And that's where they would bring in cement blocks, pipes, anything that they found along in ditches or anything as they were digging up areas, right? And they didn't know what to do with. It went to Millfair, right?
That's correct.
So what happened that it turned into the Millfair compost site?
Well, it started off a wonderful idea by Charlotte and Joe. We wanted to clean up the area and develop it into an intermunicipal composting site, sort of a joint venture between Millcreek and Fairview, and divert a lot of this yard waste that the residents of Millcreek and Fairview and now West County away from the landfill.
You know, and we were the first in this area to have a center like this, correct?
That's right, Judy.
Yeah. So now through the next few years as the volume grew, which it did, and Corey's going to talk a little bit more about the statistics, the visits and so forth, so did our need for streamlining the visitor and the payment process. So what did we do about that, Corey?
Well, Judy, we came up with a permit system. We have a residential and commercial permits. I can give you an example of what they look like. Here's our orange one, which is for the commercial, the contractors, the landscapers. We'll bring this through and we'll scan this for the material that they're bringing. And this is the Millcreek permit, which is blue. And for our Fairview permits are green. We just thought this was a lot easier way to check people in our gate, and as far as taking account all the material that they're going to be bringing in, just a lot easier for us, for you, and for the residents for dropping off. Okay. Now these permits, is there a charge for these permits, Corey? For the residents of Millcreek and Fairview and West County, there is no charge, just as long as it is coming from their property. As far as the commercial, the contractors, and the landscapers, there is a charge. For them to set up the account, it's $20 right off the bat, and they can have as many permits as they like for their fleet of trucks. We don't have a problem with giving them 5, 6, 10, whatever it is.
Is that a yearly charge for the commercial, or is it just a one-time charge?
That's a one-time charge for the $20. All right. And then if they're going to drop off throughout the year, they have to pay per. We charge per yard. Ranging anywhere from $10 up to, that's a 1 yard drop off of brush or leaf waste, up to 30-yard drop off, which is about $40. Okay. Okay. What about the residents? Is there a charge for their drop offs? There's no charge for residents. The only thing that they have to worry about if they wanted to purchase any of our material that we sell, which we'll talk about soon here, but that's all. So there is no charge for residents to drop off, just as long as it comes from their residents. And it has to be your primary residence? Correct. Okay. What I want to mention too, at that time, when we had first just implemented the permits, customers were still given a handwritten invoice at the gate. And these were payable in 30 days. Correct. Now, again, with the growing usage, this became a very tedious and a very time-consuming task, trying to manually process these payments
Oh, and then along with unpaid invoices, I would have to send out second notices. If those weren't paid, then I'd have to send out final notices. So there's time and postage involved. And when you think of the time also involved, when you're looking at hundreds of these invoices. So what happened that we came up to try and streamline these invoice process?
Well, our former Millcreek Township Recycling Coordinator, Christine Walter, implemented a system and came up with a wonderful idea of a point of sale system, which would be a lot easier to get folks to pay for their mulch right at the booth area, where they can also, we check them into when they're dropping their material off. So we just thought that was a lot easier as far as the billing. And I'm not sure if you know off the top of your head how many hours a week you've saved from this implementing the system that Christine suggested. I know it's a lot easier for the resident, the customer, for us, and for you, Judy. So.
Well, I do want to mention that Christine was very creative, very creative. In fact, what she did, she found an intern who set this whole program up, the whole system, put it in place at absolutely no charge to Millcreek and Fairview. And it did save, I can't even tell you how many hours, because especially in the summer, you know how busy Millfair gets over there. I would get stacks every day of invoices like this that I would manually process. It was just very, very time consuming. So, and it was time consuming on her part. That's why she implemented this program. So now, again, they pay at the gate, right?
Right. For the residents, they have to pay with a personal check, credit card or debit card, MasterCard, Visa, and Discover. Unfortunately, we're not set up with an account with American Express. And then same thing with the commercial contractors, landscapers. They have the option of either paying with their credit card right then at the gate, or we can bill them, which they have now. We changed it to net 10 days. So they have 10 days to pay their bill off, and they have up to $300 on their debt, and that's for all the landscapers.
Right.
And then actually last year we came up with the idea of a commercial season rate, which consists of paying $350, and that's unlimited drop off of your leaf waste and all of your yard waste.
And that's just drop off. That's not purchases. Any purchases they do have to, that doesn't come under a season rate. Okay.
Right, that's additional.
All right, I did want to mention that. So now that you know about the history, about how this all was implemented and why we issue permits, what I'd like to do is, Corey, I want to talk about the actual process from residents to Millfair to bringing compost right back to my residents. So, all right, Corey, I'm cleaning up my yard. I'm raking up the leaves and the yard waste, and I've accumulated a lot of debris and branches. Okay, what items can I take to Millfair?
Okay, at Millfair, some of the acceptable items are any kind of shrubbery, tree trimmings, leaf waste, and non-food garden residue, which, for example, consists of hostas or anything in your flower bed.
Okay. When you say leaf waste, what do you mean by leaf waste? Branches, leaves, that type of thing?
Yeah, any kind of brush. It can be all kind of raked up together.
Okay. What if I'm trimming my shrubs? That's all acceptable? That's
perfect. Just as long as the shrubs, if there's any kind of, if you're pulling them out of the ground, we ask that you knock off all the dirt and the rocks, because that's something that we don't accept.
Okay.
At the Millfair Recycle Center.
Okay, that brings me to the question: what are the items that you don't accept?
The items that we don't accept at the Millfair Center are grass, sod. We don't accept any pieces of wood that are larger than 24 inches in diameter.
Why? Why is that?
For the fact that it won't run through our chipper machine.
Okay.
So we have to be careful what we take in as far as that's concerned. We also don't take any wood that has any kind of nails or paint or processed wood. We don't take any dirt, rocks, concrete, anything that would harm any of our employees out there not accepted.
Because something with a nail going through, it'd be going through the chipper, it could either break that or go flying. Is that correct?
That's correct. And we have very nice equipment out there, very expensive, which means any kind of damage is going to be an expensive damage. So
yes, it is. So anything else that you can't take out? Bamboo. Ornamental grass.
Right? Why we don't accept those is because, again, and we do have it's a large horizontal chipping machine, though that it does get little pieces of those material. It does get in little nooks and crannies in the machine, and they actually wrap around some of the machine parts and cause a lot of friction, which can cause
it's almost like string, holding it and tying it and stopping it.
Exactly.
Okay, now I get the picture. What about weeds? I'm in my garden, or I'm in my front bed and there's weeds. Can I bring weeds?
Unfortunately, we don't take weeds for the fact that we're going to chip up our brush pile and in return make mulch into it.
Okay.
So we don't want any of those weed seeds to come up through the residents' mulch when they purchase it. So
I don't want any of that stuff coming up either. Okay, I've got my yard cleaned up. I've got some nice, neat piles here all ready to go, Corey. How can I get my yard waste to Millfair?
There's a number. We've had some pretty interesting ways to transport your yard waste. Basically pickup truck, trailer, dump truck, any kind of barrels.
Okay, because I was going to say, what if I don't have a truck? What can I do?
Sure, you could put in bags in your truck, in your trunk. Also, we've had campers. There's a funny story. I think when we first opened up in 2005, where there was somebody that brought in a small motorboat and filled it up with branches, which is pretty crazy. But I guess that was an interesting story. She kept telling her husband, "I want this brush out of here." He wasn't around. She says, "Well, I don't know how to get it there." She threw it in the boat and actually brought it into Millfair. You know what? I don't think anyone's topped that one, but you never know. Never say never. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, but yeah, whatever, roof racks, any sort of way to get it transported there. Ask a neighbor. Tarps. A lot of people bring pickup trucks, and it's easy. They'll get a buddy and just pull it off, and it comes right off. So we see everything out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm packed. I'm ready to go. Now, explain the process. What happens when I arrive at Millfair?
Okay, you're going to come through the gate area. There's going to be an arrow and some painted lines, and there's going to be a number of cones that you're going to follow through.
So I won't get lost.
Go between. You won't get lost. Go through the cones, and then there's a booth. It's going to be on your left. You're going to stop at your booth, and there's a big sign that says, "Please present your driver's license or your Millfair permit to the attendant working the booth."
All right. What if I don't have a permit?
If you don't have a permit, we ask you at least to show us your driver's license, right? We'll check and see if you're West County, Millcreek, or Fairview resident. And if we don't have too much traffic, we can sign you up for a permit right then and there, which takes just a couple minutes. We just need the information off of your license and a telephone number, and we can issue a permit, and we'll get you a calendar and also a sheet that has just a reminder of all the acceptable and non-acceptable items that we take at the Millfair Center.
Okay. Now, I know the attendants will examine the items, the material that I bring in. Why do you guys do that?
Well, we want to offer an excellent product, the mulch and the compost. Yeah, there's times where some folks, they may be raking it up and maybe you don't catch a gum wrapper or just a plastic bag. But we do, when you empty those out, you'll be told by the attendant where to drop off. Sometimes it gets a little crazy over there as far as traffic, especially on the weekends. So we'll direct you a place to drop off and empty out your containers. And if you do have some sort of garbage, we do ask you to take that with you.
Okay, now if I bring it in garbage bags, do I just throw the garbage bags in the pile?
No, we want you to empty out all the bags
and
all your containers, and please take them with you.
Take the bags back with you.
Correct.
Okay. All right, now Corey, now I want to talk, I've already gone through through the booth. I've already checked in. I've already been directed, and I have emptied out my yard waste. Let's talk about the actual process of making mulch or compost.
Okay, to start off, we talked about it earlier, coming from your residence, directing you through the booth area. Then we have our big brush drop-off area, which you can't miss because right now it's
pretty big.
It's pretty gigantic. So I would say probably every month and a half to 2 months, we start up our horizontal chipping machine.
Okay.
And we have an operator. We set it up in the back area there. We have a pretty large space where we can start our mulching for the spring. Mm-hmm. So we have that set up. So every month and a half, 2 months, we have an operator that puts a claw attachment on his front end loader, which he can grapple the brush. And what he does for a couple weeks, I would say it takes to grind up that pile. He's just going to keep every day feeding the machine, and that's going to be the mulch for the next year. So it takes about a year for everything to decompose. And as far as this spring, we had 3 piles that were about 215 feet long and about 30 feet wide. Wow. Which is, I calculated, it was close to about 4,000 yards of mulch is what we could make for this spring, or for this entire year. So that starts off the process. We mulch up the brush pile. And one of those piles of the brush pile, after grinding that up, it comes out to be about half the mulch. After you grind it up, is about half the size of that pile, which is pretty amazing. Right. And as far as, we'll get about 3 of those piles every year. I guess it depends on a lot of the material. If there is a bad winter, then we're going to get more branches and so forth. It's been a very mild winter this past year, so we might not have as much as we did last year. Right. But so we put that in the grinder for a couple weeks, and
so it's constantly running. That grinder is constantly running that brush pile and chipping it up, correct?
For about 6 hours a day.
All right.
We do actually not most, we do all of our grinding and our screening of the material Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because we are very busy on the weekends, so we shouldn't be doing any kind of screening or grinding. All right. As far as the composting, our leaf compost, we have a separate area in the fall time. We asked the residents to separate their branches from their leaves, because we try to keep all the little sticks and leaves out of there, out of that pile. So we put that in a separate area. And what we do in the spring, so we get all the separate area for the leaves in the one area, and in the springtime we have an attachment which is called a brown bear, which it has an auger and has a lot of blades on it, so it cuts up the leaves. And we do that. We turn those leaves. We have an attachment for our front end loader that's just pretty much just a big rototiller is what it is. It just shreds the leaves up, and we do that 4 to 6 times a year. All right. And that just cuts it down, it breaks everything up, and it helps the leaves decompose. And that's usually ready about November. Unfortunately, we don't sell that to the public. It takes a year process for the leaves to break down. But unfortunately, we don't sell that in November. We wait till the springtime so it's available. Okay. And I do ask, if you do like our compost, it goes fast, because it's only been, we sold out in two months this year, which is unreal.
Yeah,
so
2 months and it's gone.
It kind of sells itself. I mean, it's a wonderful product, and it just kind of blows your mind that all it is leaves that are broken up, and we don't add anything to it. It's just Mother Nature.
Nice product.
Yes. So.
All right, Corey. Now you said that for the brush pile, it's gone through the chipper. There's a screening process involved, isn't there?
Yes, we offer 2 different kinds of mulch. We have a coarse mulch. It's a little chunkier.
Is that something that's just gone through the grinder, and that's it? It hasn't been screened?
That's been screened also too.
Okay. So
we have our screener machine, which we set up there's 2 conveyor belts that come off our screener machine. The one conveyor belt separates the fine material, and the other one separates the larger wood chips.
Okay.
Or mulch, I'm sorry.
All right.
So then we sell our fine screen mulch, and then we have a coarse mulch also.
Okay. All right. Now, say I want to purchase some of this mulch. How can I get it home, and how much is the cost?
Again, if you have a pickup truck, dump truck, any sort of trailer, or even you can bring in 5-gallon buckets. So if you wanted to get a 5-gallon bucket full of mulch or the compost, it's $1 a 5-gallon bucket.
Okay.
We do ask you to bring a shovel or a pitchfork.
Okay.
We will load the material if we sell a lot of just 1-yard orders. So we're looking at our screen mulch is $20 plus tax a yard. Our leaf compost is $20 plus tax a yard.
Okay.
And we have our unscreened or coarse bark, which is $17 plus tax a yard. And then also we sell firewood when it's available. We try to separate some of the hardwood that comes in, and we sell that $20 a pickup truck load. Okay. And then also we have wood chips. They're free when they're available and free for everybody. Okay. It's something that the commercial contractors and the landscapers just drop off in a pile, in a separate pile. So.
Now, what would you use the mulch for? That's just for weed control around the beds, right?
Right. You use
and the compost?
And the compost you can use as a soil additive, flower gardens, and your just add it
to your soil.
Vegetable
gardens, anything like that. I know we're getting to the end of our time, but real quickly, last year was pretty exciting to Millfair, wasn't it? With the prop conference?
Yeah, we belong to Professional Recyclers of Pennsylvania. We actually hosted the conference last year, and we had the opportunity to bring some of these professionals out to the facility. Which was great to just kind of show it off and show what we've done. We've had a lot of other folks from different municipalities throughout the state of Pennsylvania stop by and kind of ask advice, and they're kind of interested in doing the same thing we are, as far as like a joint venture between 2 municipalities, as far as like ours.
Really congratulations on all your accomplishments out there at Millfair. It really is a wonderful, wonderful facility, and again, it is for Millcreek and Fairview and West County residents at no charge. Now, what are the hours, Corey?
The hours actually changed last year. Now they are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. We are closed every Thursday. That's when we do our maintenance and our service on our equipment. Friday we open up back at noon and we close at 7 p.m. Saturday morning we open up at 9 and close at 5, and finally Sunday we're open noon to 5 p.m.
Okay, and I want to mention real quickly too that last year we added a Erie City Mission drop-off box for anybody who has any textiles that they want to drop off for Erie City Mission. Stop in. Corey, what I've seen is, along with all your continued growth, is that you've been implementing steps towards sustainability, and that is our main goal in this.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining us on this program, letting our visitors know the whole process, all the steps. And also from today's program, I guess what I find so interesting is that yard waste that you wanted to get rid of has actually come full circle and been turned into a welcome additive to your landscape with the help of Millfair Compost Center and Mother Nature. So viewers, if you have any questions, we are on the website. It's www.millcreektownship.com. Click on recycling. Can give you any answer to something we might not have covered. But Corey, again, thank you so much for letting our viewers know what goes on out at Millfair, and that's 2301 Millfair Road. So viewers, thank you for watching the Millcreek Government Channel. Till next time, have a wonderful day.